Aloha and welcome, Noles. This is the Monday Smash alongside the senior recruiting analyst for Warchant.com. He is Michael Langston. My name is Tom Lang, and you are tuned in to the Monday Smash presented by State Farm Agent and awesome Noel Russ Voorhis. Good evening. Hit the thumbs up as you join this video for tonight because Michael is here. You know, we're going to talk about a top 5 recruiting class in all of the country, and that would be Florida State's number 5 ranked industry ranking recruiting class per the On3 industry rankings. Michael, how you doing this evening?
I'm fantastic, guys. Just ready to, finish off this summer. Certainly a lot of fireworks already, but it's been a fun summer. Certainly for FSU, you're talking about around 8 kids that they've added, and it's been a really productive summer, and I think it could get a little better.
Aloha Spartanol, and to Troy, who is in day 4 of 14 of recovery. We hope you're doing okay, Troy, and everybody else. Hop in the chat with your questions for Michael for tonight, because again, Florida State's momentum is so white hot right now. It's ridiculous. This is a week that's going to develop as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. It's going to become more and more about Florida State on the football field, the team. We got the coaches luncheon on Wednesday. We've got the first day of fall camp for FSU Thursday afternoon. They have 3 days this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So before the week gets too crazy with that 2023 football season, we're talking about the 2024 class and beyond. So, Michael, last week, just as a quick recap, how did Florida State get to number 5 in the country? You see, it's kind of small down there, but in the 5 stars tab, there are 2 5 stars. How did Florida State get there, and how many miles did you have to drive to see Florida State get to 2 5 stars?
Yeah, I mean, it was a wild day in Sarasota. That was the first one coming up. Charles Lester's, big commitment. Obviously, we felt good, but anytime Dion's involved, you get a little nervous until you hear the words. But it was a big day. FSU landed 5-star defensive back Charles Lester, originally out of Sarasota, but he's going to play at Venice this year, his final year, and so they added him. And then added a 4-star offensive tackle the next day, and then added another linebacker the following day. I'll let you cover the announcement of the pronunciation of the offensive lineman. I don't want to screw it up, but they got Tamir Hickman Collins, who worked out and camped at FSU. They've been on him for a while, so this wasn't like, oh, he worked out and they just took him and they committed. It's like they've been on him, with Tamir for a while. They visited him 3 or 4 times, in the evaluation period. He visited also for the spring game, so this wasn't a guy that just popped on the radar and it's like, hey, he's good, let's take him. It's like they did a lot of study, evaluation in the spring, evaluation in the summer, and then evaluating him in person. That sealed the deal. And so they're red hot, and as a lot of these tweets from either On3 or us, they're on fire. And it's really, you can really start to sense the development of the way people view FSU, recruits and families, and just in general competition. They see that FSU is here, and you hear to stay. They're like right behind, I think, Alabama. So how you doing, Bama? They're here. What's up? So the class is rolling, top 5, and could get even bigger later this week.
Yeah, Monesi ITT. That I got that from his high school coach, who put out a video explaining his background and his backstory. So if his coach has it wrong, then we're all going to get it wrong together. But yeah, this is a big body from the West Coast who is, Michael, a bit of a raw football prospect. He was discovered on the basketball courts at Central Catholic in Modesto. The football coach said, wait a minute. You're perfect for football. And then Mana, as they call him for short, fell in love with the game. And typically when, Michael, we talked about this in the breaking news video, typically when you're a bit of a project, but you've got the tools, recruiting services might lean more towards a 3-star, maybe sometimes a strong 3-star, but it's crazy to see that the industry ranking, look at that across the board, from the 2 main people who know what the heck they're doing when it comes to evaluating kids. This is a 4-star talent. So Florida State with a huge land, and Alex Atkins expanding that recruiting footprint out to the West Coast.
Yeah, and I think it's a high 4-star ranking as far as I'm concerned. I think it's a solid, because there's stuff, and we broke it down when we did the breaking news of his game, but there's things that are not natural. When what he does, the motor, the athletic ability, the way he finishes, that gets you excited. The beginning part of the blocking is really good. It's just technique stuff to clean up, and I kind of compare it to kind of how I view him, kind of how I view Jalen early, that they got later. He was also kind of a 250, top 250 type of kid, and they got in there, and now we hear like FSU's really excited about Jalen. Jalen's a guy that they feel like is going to have a pretty productive and impactful year for FSU, or even career the rest of the way. So I think for ITT, I think it's the same thing as far as kind of stuff they see, just a different skill set, but the impact overall, I think, is going to be felt.
We'll get to the questions in just a moment. I see that Director Ben behind the scenes has already pulled a few. You're watching the Monday Smash presented by State Farm agent Russ Forhes. We'll tell you about Russ in a little bit as well. But Michael, this weekend, beyond the commitments that Florida State got, a huge weekend. I enjoyed mixing it up with you and Matt in the from like the editorial HQ perspective, because you guys had a lot of content both on the website warchant.com and for our channel on Warchant TV. A lot of interviews, a lot of stuff surrounding the Seminole Showcase, which is one final bang in July for
Right.
Florida State. How would you characterize that weekend, especially because that first day when kids are arriving on campus, Charles Lester's there? You know what I mean? So how did that go?
Yeah, I mean, Charles told me he had like 2 hours sleep. Yeah, so when he getting there, and I was amazed that he was there. So I drove all the way back. I didn't get home till like 3 in the morning. So can't imagine what his was, because he was doing a lot of celebrating afterwards. So having Charles there was a big deal. Having Luke Cromahawk was there. Even Cam Davis being there. Cam's always told me like, look, they're having an event. I want to be here. I want to make sure my face is here so they know. All the top guys are going to be here. We're going to be there for you. We're going to be a family. We're going to be there to pull in guys. And as Luke told me, on that the night of Lester after he committed, he said, "Look, every time a kid visits, I want to get one more. I want to get at least one, more new addition." And that's kind of the mindset of these guys. But the Summer Showcase is really good. I think it was mainly for a lot of underclassmen or guys that they had evaluated in the individual camps, or a big man camp, or just some kind of camp that's individual, mega, whatever, that they had before in a more elite setting, where they could have a few more guys that they could really personally work with these guys, because sometimes they don't get as much, I guess, personal time as they wanted. So I think that was mainly what it was about. Good event. Saw a couple offers coming out from the event, and then also, you got to have all the top targets on campus, like a 5-star Armando Blunt, 5-star was there. Certainly, uh, Tavares Alford, another talented linebacker from the 2025 class that they certainly like a lot, and they made a move for. And then one of the biggest was 5-star plus wide receiver Jeremiah Smith was also there. So just having those guys there, and kind of viewing, it wasn't so much them working out, because a lot of them didn't work out. I mean, very few. Elijah Moore put on a show, but outside of that, it was kind of more, hey, let me watch and see how these guys coach. And so it gave me kind of a different feel.
Every time I see an interview with Elijah Moore, I come away more and more impressed. And to hear
Yeah.
that on the field, he's owning things, and he did so at the showcase. Michael, that just seems that at the time, was he a 3-star maybe in some services? That just seems like if he can play to half the ability that he shows in the interview room, you got yourself that's like a comprehensive culture fit and weapon for the offense.
Yeah, I love his charisma. I love the way he is. There's certain guys that have different personalities. Elijah has a different, just catch your attention kind of charisma about him. But it's skill. I know when I saw him, he popped onto the radar, took a visit, and then took another official later. I went in there and I watched this film. Like, how is this kid rated? Anybody rating him a 3-star? Because I mean, it just, the ball skills and the just the way he comes out of the routes is just different for a guy that size, that's big, and the catch radius is out of this planet. When you watch the way he can catch a lot of different things, as far as just whether you're running a flag route, you're running a post, you're running a slant, whatever you run, he seems to be explosive in every single play. And I wasn't surprised when I'd heard that he had a great showing, because he's going to be a big weapon. And that was a guy they wanted really badly, because they didn't felt like in this 2024 class they had size in there. So when they added him, that really kind of solidified it. It isn't that they don't have size in there on the room. The room is
Yeah.
like size wise, but from the class, I think they wanted to add at least one in this class that brought kind of just a freakish size and just freakish ability that can just really, it's going to be really hard to kind of combat all these weapons and all these different skill sets that FSU has in that room.
Make sure to listen to West from the Villages. You just saw his comment up there. Smash the like button underneath this video. It is the smash after all. It's one simple click. And if you do that, we find more Florida State fans who are looking for great coverage. And now is the time to jump on board. Warchant members get more benefits than ever before, like 10% off all your Garnet and Gold purchases. We're going to have an Ask the Staff for Warchant members only on Wednesday night. That'll be on Warchant TV, kind of, but only behind a wall for members. So join warchant.com today. You're going to love it. If you love our content here, hit the like button underneath and subscribe. That will always be absolutely free. So let's get to the first question tonight. We're going to go to Keith from Spring Hill with the first question. And this is about UF's class, Michael. And Keith is anticipating here that Florida might be missing a bowl game in the question. That's the premise. He says, if Florida is missing a bowl game, could we flip one of those blue chip linebackers by signing day? Just looking at Florida's 2024 class, they've got 4 linebackers committed, which in this day and age seems like an awful lot. But Miles Graham, Adarius Hayes, Jamonte Waller, and Aaron Childs. Do you think that Florida State might still be within range to poach towards the end of the season if it goes poorly for Florida for any of them?
I mean, we'll have to wait and see if some of these guys visit. Waller, they didn't really offer or seem to be pushing for. Miles Graham, they certainly like, but he's a legacy with Ernest being his dad that played at Florida. But CJ Ward is committed to Florida State, so he knows Miles pretty well, and Miles has visited FSU a few times. So stranger things have happened. You never know just how the season goes, and if things start flopping, then a lot of these things can change. They have Aldarius Hayes, who's an in-state kid that I think they could possibly make a push for and see if there's some struggles and then maybe jump on it. But right now, I'm not anticipating a flip. But if the season goes kind of haywire and they don't make a bowl or they got 6 losses or something like that, then yeah, I could see FSU certainly being active. FSU is not afraid to go in there with guys that are committed elsewhere. They don't have a problem with that. So those would be the guys that I think. Aldarius Hayes, probably Miles Graham. Those are 2 guys I think if things go, kind of off a little bit, I think those guys they'll see what happens and they'll push.
So Dylan wants to know, is USC, that is the Trojans, going to get sick of us the way that USC, the Gamecocks, already are for the portal? With ITT on board, how are we looking at getting Zandamela back in the fold? That's another offensive lineman, and he's committed out west. Is that correct, Michael?
Yeah, he's committed to Southern Cal. There's 2 SCs, South Carolina. I always refer to Southern Cal as SC, but sorry,
Yep.
South Carolina,
Correct.
that's not going to happen.
That's correct.
But yeah, they'll still talk to them because they do want 2 centers in this class. But we'll see if there's some activity. Maybe if they struggle, but right now, I think he's pretty comfortable with that, Southern Cal pledge. But certainly he loves Atkins, and I never. That's the one thing I never do is never count out Alex when it comes to offensive line targets, and we saw that with ITT. But certainly a guy they're still seeing and they'll still work on, and then if he gets to a point where they feel like, hey, I don't get the point where it's like, hey, we're done or whatever. But I think if Zandamela wanted in, that's certainly a guy that they would be very intrigued and interested in.
It certainly would stand to reason, Michael, that one Lucas Simmons could put in a good word back down to Clearwater Academy International. That seems to be a budding pipeline for Florida State, so we'll see where that goes there. I'm going to cut in, Director Ben, for this question. Eric Angel asks about it's an old legacy. It's different. It's not quite father-son. But what about 2026 quarterback? Is it Jonah Winston, Jameis' younger brother?
Yeah.
He was here this weekend.
Yes, he was. And you had Jonah there, and Jonah's the younger brother of Jameis. He's visited a few times. He was at the Jermaine Johnson ceremony where he got his brick, and he was certainly he's been there, and they offered him. So it's the guy they like. The way it was explained to me, very good arm, but pretty athletic guy. That was kind of the way it was explained to me as far as his workout, and a guy that certainly they're active with. We know Texas A&M is going to be active with him because Jimbo's there, and Jimbo's obviously coached Jameis. But I think a guy that I would like to see how he develops as far as his height. He's only 2026, so you still got time, and growth spurts happen around that time. But certainly just athletic gym, and a little bit more athletic than Kobe Jameis was at this stage, because he does a lot of just freaky things, and his speed's just really good, and very good in space, and so a very good different weapon that he could do a lot of different things. I think you never saw Jameis slotting out to out there catching passes and stuff. So I think he can certainly do a lot of good things. And I think they like him. I think they like him for Jonah Winston, not because Jameis played here. I don't
Yeah.
think. I think it's like they were sold on just what the talent is, as far as his skill. So certainly a guy that they're very active with, and they would certainly love to have. I think in this class.
Well, that's down the road we'll see what the growth spurt's like too. Michael, I'm not very versed in this, but when you go 2 and 3 years ahead of time, I mean that can change things too. If a kid, I remember for basketball, Fiondu Kabengele. Remember when the basketball program recruited him? He was a shooting guard, and then he turned into a combo forward. So anything can happen, but it looks like he probably is still going to profile a quarterback, even though he lined up in the slot. In
Right,
right.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely a quarterback, and it's one that they wanted to work out. I mean the fact that he was here tells you, just how they view him. Also, there was Ronan Seymour that was also there, related to a famous Seymour. I think
Yeah.
So, but he's another one that now his size, he's really tall. So he definitely got, he's already hit that growth spurt. But I think both of them legacy guys, and both of them are guys that they recruited because of what they are, not because of what kind of where they're from, or who their dad is, or who their family is. I think these are guys that FSU just sold on.
So Robert D, I wondered if this would have been the first question tonight.
Okay.
It wasn't. I'm prepared for it with a little tweet that was released today by Mike Norvell, but I knew this was coming. Robert D says, this is going to sound greedy. And it's okay, guys. That's the whole – Michael knows this. That's the recruiting game. You get somebody, and, like, the first comment in the breaking news story is, all right, who's next? So this is going to sound greedy, says Robert D. What are the chances with KJ Bolden? And let me add some context to this, Michael. Mike Norvell doesn't do stuff like this very often, but here's his tweet today. July was full of fireworks for Tribe 24. Just wonder what August might have in store for it, with the emoji. Excited for what the future holds and the season ahead. Fall camp starts this week. Michael, that to me was a moment where I go, wait a minute. Are you talking about August 5th, Coach Norvell? What say you to this question from Robert D. and what Mike Norvell put out there on Twitter?
Yeah, I mean, KJ Bolden, 5-star plus safety. Certainly, they would love. That's a position that they would love to really add a elite guy, and you don't get any more elite than KJ. Yes, I think the chances are really good. I think they have a real shot. In fact, I mean, I've since there's going to be a story with On Three with me on it, I'm going to tell you guys something before you get it from them. So I would tell him if it was today, I think he would pick FSU. I mean, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with KJ. Now, there's still decision mode going on, so there could be some shifts. I know Auburn's very much in it, although I think Georgia's probably the team I've heard the most consistent with. Ohio State's also in there, so there's a lot of factors that go into, as my dogs are taking over in my house, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into just the decision. But I think FSU, the momentum and buzz has not slowed down, Tom, just ever since I've been around this recruitment, and in the last 2 or 3 weeks it's been very heavy. The confidence is only going up. It's going up even higher. That tweet kind of speaks to I think optimism and confidence. I would say that optimism, confidence, that they feel pretty good about where they sit right now.
Hit the like. I was going to say, hit the like button for Michael's dog right now, and
yeah, I guess he's excited about KJ Bolden. Yeah, he must have been.
That's correct. Dogs can sense when the truth is being spoken, and I think that's what's going on right there. So let me reset this real quick, and then we'll come back to Bolden for another moment. But this week on Warchant TV, again, we are loaded with content. You're going to see videos galore from Wednesday's luncheon. We talked to every one of the assistant coaches. That's the on-demand stuff. Here's the live stuff. We should have put an arrow all the way to the bottom left that says you are here at the Monday Smash,
there you
7 p.m. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock, Seminole Headlines live here on Warchant TV. It's their final Seminole Headlines before they lay eyes on FSU football practice. Isn't that exciting? Wednesday, 1 to 3 live Jeff Cameron show. I'll give you a behind the scenes here because Florida State's doing the luncheon. The 2 to 3 p.m. hour is going to be live. We're going to record the 1 o'clock hour so that we can get over to the luncheon, talk to the assistant coaches, and then at 2 o'clock, it'll be live reaction to what we heard from Mike Norvell and his assistants. On Wednesday at 7 o'clock, it's Ask Warchant Anything. This is for warchant.com members only. We'll send you a link if you're a warchant.com member. It'll be on the message boards. It's your own dedicated time to talk to the staff. We have the best staff in the business, and basically everybody's going to be there, which is going to be a lot of fun. Then Thursday, JCS, and Friday. But on Thursday night, we're going to come live to you here on Warchant TV after the first practice of the season. We are so excited. I'll be anchoring that coverage, and we'll be talking about day one, who we saw, who stood out. It's a little bit of underwear football, Michael, as they get acclimated, but it's a lot of fun because we see what freshmen look the part already, who hit the weight room, the offseason, the tenor, the feel. This is one of the best weeks of the year. So be sure to head over to warchant.com. Sign up today if you haven't to take part in those dedicated chats. And I've got one other announcement of a big-time show coming tomorrow night a little bit later in the program. So a lot going on at Warchant. Michael's coverage, team coverage. This is the fun part of the year, Michael, where it all collides. I know you're ready for it.
I'm ready, and our team is the best. I'm glad you mentioned that. A new addition, Matt Lasier's done great for both team and recruiting. Irish Chafel's been in it forever. Corey has been in it forever. Obviously, our leader Gene Williams has done a phenomenal job putting this all together, and just Jeff Cameron is my man. He just does everything. He covered culture. It's like every avenue. I think Warchant has you covered when it comes to knowing what the latest of what's going on. So I'm very excited about the fall. I'm very excited about what could come down later, both recruiting and team related. So we'll see. But there's a lot of exciting things going on with FSU sports.
All right, I want to ask you one more about KJ Bolden, Michael, before we move on, because that's just such a big topic. Yeah. When did you believe for the first time that Florida State's chances were real? Like it could be a month, it could be an event. Well, when did you believe for the first time that, oh yeah, they could actually land this kid?
I would say I started to sense it on the last visit he took in the summer. Just the body language was different. The thing, I read people a lot, so I've done it for 20-something years. So you see different just readings of the way they're reacting to certain things and the things you ask them, and then just the things I heard from that visit was really good. Now, even then, I was kind of like, I'm still skeptical. Hey, can you outdo somebody like Georgia, Ohio State? Yeah. Who are just premier top tier teams every year. And then probably I'd say about 3 weeks ago, that's when I started getting it. Where about maybe a month ago, where the contact started it was more just it wasn't more just hey, had fun. It was more like, this is real, and FSU's a place that I think he feels extremely comfortable with, and extremely comfortable of the direction, extremely comfortable of the position, and extremely comfortable about just the development that he would get under Adam Fuller or Patrick Surtain or whoever he's learning from. I think I think the big key for FSU in this recruitment, and it sounds crazy to go this far back, but was what Jamie Robinson did in his career at FSU. I think that's a big deal to KJ to see, kind of, because you have to see stuff, right, man? When you see stuff in person, it's different when you see kind of somebody that plays your position or plays a position similar to what you do, and when you see how productive they are. I think even that Oklahoma game, I think that certainly helped the cause. And then also adding a top tier guy like Charles Lester, I think even increased their chances even more, because of that's another 5-star that's in there. And now you're starting to get the sense, okay, it isn't just me that likes what I'm seeing. It's other 5-stars.
Yeses can be contagious, in short. Yeah. So we'll see. That's this Saturday, right? Scheduled for the 5th.
Yes.
It makes his decision.
Yeah, August 5th. I don't have a time. I haven't seen on that yet, but I'll check. But yeah, it's supposed to be August 5th on Saturday.
Spartan Noles says it correctly, and this is the message that Mike Norvell will say on the record, and the kids will say too on the record, be it commits or members of the current roster. If competition scares you, go away, because that's what it's about. It's Florida State, and that message is resonating. Whether you're a rival that doesn't like it or not, kids are starting to say yes. And if Florida State keeps winning, that's just going to keep on happening with no small assist from the battles. And I do believe that's a personal aside. Next up, here's a question for you directly, Michael. This is a personal question. Gator Kirk says, Michael, I promised a $100 donation to your favorite charity if Destin Hill made it to FSU. Gator Kirk is like a Lannister. He always pays his debts. So which charity should he make the donation to? What do you think, Michael?
Man, that's really tough as far as a charity, but the one that's close to my heart is the Alzheimer Disease Foundation. That's one that I'm really big on. My grandfather passed away from that a long time ago. We were really close, and that's so. If you want a charity and something that's connected with FSU or something like that, or something they do, I don't know all the different charities, but that's one that is really close to my heart because of somebody that I had that was close to my life. So if you're doing one, that's what I would do. I appreciate that, Kirk. You don't have to do it, but that's kind of my suggestion if you were doing one.
The most frequent caller on the Warchant TV networks. Gator Kirk, can't wait to talk to you in the post game of Florida State and LSU. Robert D coming in. Hello, Robert, Michael's dog. Thanks for the info. So Robert D gives a shout out to the Howling Pooch who says KJ Bolden is going to be at Florida State.
Yep, that's in his. It's funny. His name's Brooks, so that's kind of fitting. But anyway, appreciate that. Thanks for the contribution. We love them all. Like I mean, we don't say this enough. Like maybe, but the contributions you guys give, whether it's $1 or just whatever amount it is. We know you don't have to. We know you don't have to watch. We hope you do. We want you to hit the like button, all that stuff. But when you contribute, that's certainly we're very humbled by that.
We are, and it helps us do things, a little bit better every time we have an event for y'all. It's pretty great. And so thank you very much for your support out there. To the nearly 350 you watching right now, hit that like button. We'll be back in 15 short seconds after a word from our sponsor, Russ Voorhis, State Farm agent.
Contact Russ Voorhis for an auto quote today.
Short and sweet, but let's go on a little bit longer about Russ Voorhis, State Farm agent. He's a supporter of Florida State athletics. If you're looking to spend your money on an insurance provider that actually turns around and supports Florida State, they're just like you. They care about the program. Russ Voorhis is the man. You see the 2 locations that he has on the east coast of Florida, but this is an agency, russvoorhis.com for more information. Russ serves all of Florida, all of Georgia, all of Alabama, and he's a Nole just like you, to the point where endowed scholarships have been placed in thanks to this man. So this is somebody who practiced what he preaches when it comes to support and love of Florida State. Michael knows him. I know him. He's one of Warchant's first sponsors way back in the day. I may have had a cocktail or a craft brew with this guy in the All Saints district back in the day too. But Michael, you know it. I know it. Russ Voorhis is as big of a Nole as anybody that we've come across in our years of covering Florida State.
Yeah, great guy. Russ is a great guy. Just loves FSU, but loves helping people. It's probably why he got in the business he's in with State Farm, and certainly he does a phenomenal job with just promoting FSU, but also promoting his work for the year in that Jacksonville area. Man, that's the guy you go see. I mean, he's gonna certainly help you out, and we certainly deeply care about him. I think that speak for everyone at Warchant when we say that. So thanks, Russ, and glad to have you.
We continue on with the Monday Smash. Eric Angel says, great job, Michael, as you had Charles Lester III choosing FSU. Yep, that's it. Kudos, Michael. Everybody's simpatico right now. Everybody's happy. We now go, and thank you, Pillar Eric. Look forward to seeing you at events around Tallahassee soon. John Andrews asks, how are we looking on the defensive line? I'm a bit concerned here. What do you think, Michael, about the 2024 class in the defensive line?
Yeah, there's some you want to see. I mean, I've addressed it many times. The defensive tackles, there's not a lot of options. Although they did get a nice surprise visit from Martavius Jones, who came over for a visit earlier last week. He's a guy that liked FSU growing up, but also Miami was the school that he liked. He's committed to Miami, but I think it's going to be a heavy battle all the way down to that signature. I think he's 50 miles away. He's not that far away, so you can expect FSU is going to push hard there. So if they get him, I'll feel better, because then you start slowly seeing it come along. And then I think defensive end, they're pretty good. They already have defense. They already have D.D. Holmes. They're certainly involved with several top guys. I think even in 2025, I think the number one defensive tackle in the country. I covered him earlier, Armando Blunt. I like FSU where FSU sits. That's another one where if I was putting a pick today, it would be FSU. So I think there's option. I think more so I'm concerned with defensive tackle than I am the end position because I think they're doing well there. I think they have enough there that as far as targets and the guys they're going after that they're in a good spot. That position, but just defensive tackle. That's the one that I'm concerned with to a degree. And I say this many times, guys, like the holes that FSU has on defensive tackle or linebacker or these positions that maybe, they just didn't do as good a job as they wanted to. They're going to add in the portal, guys.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't stress it. I wouldn't stress it one bit, John, because whatever they don't get here, they're going to get in the portal. And we know what they do in the portal. It doesn't matter who they go against. They're going to get a top tier guy. So just keep that in mind. But yes, I would like to see, because what I do is cover recruiting, I would like to see them do better from the high school front at that defensive tackle position, at that linebacker position. I would like to see some up just upgrade into 4 and 5 star guys like we see a lot of these other positions. So those are two positions I think they can certainly improve on. And recruiting's never perfect. I don't care if you got the number one class. There's still things that you can do better and recruit better at certain places. And for FSU, those are the two positions they could do better.
Terry Vaughn asks, and I was wondering how somebody was going to work this into one of the questions tonight. So well done, Terry. Michael, compare and contrast how our recruiting might change if we enter a new conference. Why, Terry, why would you ever ask that question? That's just so out of context for the moment. But go ahead, Michael. How much does conference impact recruiting in your mind?
Yeah, I think it's big no matter which one it is. And I don't live in a closet or just a room, guys. I know what's going on out there in the world. Big Ten or SEC, it's okay to say the words. I think, and I've said this many times, from a university standpoint, I think Big Ten is better for FSU because of the fit. It just seems more culturally fit for FSU. I think SEC would give you more of a bigger boom in recruiting in what I do because it's location, geographics, Georgia, Florida. You would kick butt in those areas, and certainly Florida wouldn't be able to use the crap that they usually use, which is, hey, they're not in the SEC, we are. They still wouldn't have to use that. So I think the impact would be, but I would say this too: the impact in the Big Ten would be pretty darn significant if even if you're there, because then it starts broadening everywhere you have, because you have USC, UCLA in there. Now you have all these teams in the Midwest. Then you have Ohio State, Michigan. Those teams are the top teams almost every year. So both sides are going to give you dynamic recruiting, and it would be a big boost because I mentioned this also a few times that being in the ACC limits FSU sometimes because of people being able to offer something different than what FSU has currently in the league they're in. Now, FSU can recruit and stand alone and recruit itself, but it would certainly greatly benefit them to be in either one of those new conferences, more so in the SEC. But as I said before, from a total grand, so I block my stuff of what I do, it would be, for me, it'd be the Big Ten would be the home run for me, because I think you get the complete package of everything that you need. But I think FSU fans would take either one, and right now it looks like based on what Gene's saying, there's some buzz going on with FSU and conference alignment.
Boy, if you're a member of Warchant.com, you know that all too well now. It's something that you should check the boards for routinely because Gene Williams has started giving the intel that we're hearing as it relates to. There's a lot of smoke around Tallahassee, Michael. I don't know if you go out your front door and you have to put on a mask or something because there's smoke pumping in every direction when it comes to what Florida State's future is. Is it imminent? Is it not? So if you're a full member at warchant.com, you can get the minute-by-minute breakdown. There's also a very good video of Gene Williams recapping it, where Florida State stands at this moment. It's on Warchant TV. So if you're brand new to this channel, subscribe to us. It's absolutely free. And you're going to see our content on your home screen when you open the YouTube app. So
yeah,
I can't recommend that enough. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, just if you see Gene coming on the tribal council or the boards or even the site, there's something going on. You probably want to pay attention to it, whether it's coaching team or this going on, the realignment. So you definitely want to be there because, I don't know anybody that's better as far as following that stuff than him. He is on that stuff really good.
I can tell you about a special broadcast that's coming on Warchant TV tomorrow night. I teased this a little bit ago. So for the nearly 400 of you that are watching and then on demand later, 6 p.m. on Tuesday night, August the 1st, Board of Trustees Chairman Peter Collins is going to be live on Warchant TV. Now, a couple of things on that. Number one, this was scheduled before everything went haywire, the sit down with Peter Collins. But number two, he's going to be asked the question. We're going to ask the question. Ira Schofel is going to be your master of ceremonies. I'm going to be hosting, but kind of just letting Ira and Peter go ahead and talk to one another. It's going to be interactive. You can ask Peter anything you want. I can't imagine, Michael, there's more than one topic that people are going to ask Chair Collins about tomorrow night. But he's going to be here on Warchant TV, 6 p.m. Tuesday night. We're going to ask the question. It's up to him what he wants to do. But that's just quite the time to have the chairman of the board, Michael, on in Florida State's history. Pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, it definitely just shows you why you want to be here. I mean, you're not going to get that, kind of stuff anywhere else. So to get somebody like that, that's kind of maybe give you a few notes and nuggets that, maybe either slip out or maybe he'll tell you straightforward. So it's an exciting time. And I'm following it just like you guys are, because like everyone asks me team stuff all the time. Like a lot of times I know some things, but there's things I don't know, and I'm just watching these guys like, hey, I'm tuned in because I want to know about this stuff.
Legitimately, we have no idea what he's going to say. Ira's been in contact with him basically every day. And as things got to a fever pitch here, Michael, just behind the curtain for everybody, I reached out and says, do you still want to do this? And he said, yeah, I do. Okay. All right. Well, here we go. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m. on Warchant TV. Let's get back to the recruiting side of things, Michael, if we will. Dustin R. asks, if we land both KJ Bolden and J. Lewis Solomon, which I know one's cooling right now, do we have for sure a number 2 class, any shot at number 1? So pie in the sky, Michael, if they were to land both of these members of the defensive back core, how high could Florida State climb from number 5?
Yeah, I would say 3 would be the best, or it'd be the most logical, realistic spot. Barely at 3, not just about. I mean, barely off the number 2 line. So I think it could get the 2. I could see it being pushed all the way to 2. So that 1, yeah, that's probably not logical, but I would say 2 or 3 is very very likely. You're adding a 5-star plus guy, one of the best in the country. You're going to get a big boom from that. But you're competing now with the elite of the elite. You're talking about Ohio State, Georgia, in there, and those guys have phenomenal classes. Alabama as well. So you will certainly move. I think above Alabama. I think you will be in the 3 spot. But then I think there's an outside shot you could move up. I don't know the point system too well all the way with on 3, but I would say 2 or 3.
Jay Cully asks a related question, and it's about J. Lewis Solomon. He was a solid lean to FSU. Now we're hearing he's no longer a lean. What happened there? Is it just a matter of they got yeses elsewhere?
Well, I think that's part of it, but also, he visited Auburn, South Carolina, I believe. He was supposed to go swing by back FSU. I was kind of seeing today maybe he swing by because Monday's kind of the last day. Tuesday we go in the dead period, so I didn't see that happen. So that's kind of what the feeling I got. That I don't think it's like he doesn't like FSU or there isn't a push there that they like him. I just think when you start getting guys, it's going to lessen the chances of you getting other guys because you can only fit so many in. The guy I haven't talked about is Jamari Howard. He visited over the weekend, top 100 type of defensive back. I think that's the other corner that would go along with Charles Lester. And then if you got Charles Lester, this guy, and then KJ Bolden, that's probably one of the best secondaries they've ever landed. And I think they sit in a good spot with Jamari so far. Priestley committed to Michigan State, was originally going to go to Florida, didn't go to Florida, decided to come here at FSU, multiple day visit, and everything I've heard has been pretty positive with Jamari, and that's a guy they've coveted heavily. He's a big fan of Surtain. He loves what he does, and he's another one of those big size defensive backs that they like. And I think you can't, I say it before, you can't take everybody, you can't please everyone. So when eventually you start landing guys like Lester and even maybe Bolden or Howard, it's going to lessen the chances for somebody like Solomon, who's set to decide also on August 5th. So I would probably say it's going to be probably Auburn or South Carolina for that one. But Like I said, you can't get everybody.
Tommy Jenkins with a contribution to the program. Thank you very much, Tommy. If you've got a question, Director Ben will find it, and we'll make sure to get that wiped up. Island Chief asks, was Lester sent to Colorado to give Dion a little business? Michael, your thoughts, or was that a legitimate visit where maybe it got a little dicey there for a minute?
No, I mean, I felt very, even when I was told about the visit, I was told like they're not that concerned going into the visit. I think it was more a visit where he took one official there. It's like, hey, you had the funds to go over there and take one more visit. And I mean, every other place FSU's been like 9 times, and then yeah, every other place I think he's been like 2 times. So I think it was a chance to do a multiple look at them, see how he feels when he's there. I thought it was interesting. I got a chuckle out of this that they took a photo when he was on the Colorado visit with all the Colorado people and the coaches, and Dion wasn't in there. So I thought that was interesting. I think maybe Dion knew kind of it's probably not going to happen here or something like that. So, but I definitely don't think Charles went over there just to give him the business and say, "Hey, I'm visiting, and then I'm going to commit to FSU." I think his mind was pretty made up after certainly that official visit to FSU, but I think overall you just want to go there and see. And as I put in my backstory, what better way to throw off a scent than go to the biggest competition for FSU for a visit in the final right before you decide? So I think it was perfectly executed.
Well, that's nice to hear on Florida State side for a change, too. I know that's welcome to a lot of people here on Warchant TV. Robert D asks, oh, man, all right, any chance of ESPN just throwing the ACC more money to keep Fox from breaking into the Southeast? That is a loaded question, Robert D. Michael, do you mind if I take a stab at this one?
You go for it.
All right. I think Florida State would like the more money part. I don't know that Florida State wants the more money running through the ACC's coffers, Robert. I really don't. I don't think they like a lot of their compatriots. They probably respect them greatly, but when it comes to, equal revenue shares for anything other than winning for a Wake or a Syracuse or a Boston College or a Duke, and you can go down the list, I don't think Florida State's thrilled with that. But the question about ESPN throwing money at the problem to keep the Big Ten from getting into the Southeast, that's the part of it that I think is a legitimate hope that Florida State, if you want to cultivate as many offers as possible for realignment, you got to scare ESPN into thinking that the Big Ten really is interested in the Southeast, which I think it's easy to do, Michael, because I think the Big Ten is legitimately interested into breaking into the Southeast. So, Robert, for more information on that, we have a video at the end of the show. Feel free to tune in. Gene Williams update about FSU and the Big Ten and how all of those juggling balls are in the air. But there's no doubt, Michael, that I think the burner cell phone market is doing quite well in Tallahassee because there's a lot of conversations going on behind the scenes.
Absolutely. It's a lot going on. It's not just, it used to be like, okay, it'd be cool if they went there in the Big Ten or something like that. Now it's kind of, there's validity to what people were wanting.
And for those of you that are casual observers who are like, yeah, what's happening with Florida State? August 15th is a key date because if you're going to leave for next year's football season, you've got to notify by August 15th of this year. So that's why this is all coming to a head right now. So if nothing happens and it's the 16th of August, then Florida State could still say they're out, but they're not leaving until the 2025 football season. So that's why it's all kind of coming to a head right now, just in case you're brand new to the discussion. Somebody who's not brand new to Warchant TV, one of our pillars, Z-Chan, the official DMD of Warchant TV. Thank you so much, Zach. He says, hey, fam, to what degree does momentum with other recruits affect decisions? How much does one domino lead to another domino falling? 1 month, go Braves. Yeah, that's fine. I'm sure they've hit 3 more home runs since you sent that message. What they do. But, Michael, your thoughts on how contagious recruiting momentum is?
Oh, it's always contagious. And I mentioned this with Charles Lester. It's like I mentioned Charles Lester committing helps KJ Bolden because this other top tier guys seeing a program getting guys. I mean, that affects, and they want to talk to them. It's like, why'd you pick them? And they hit him up, and Charles and KJ have been talking for a while. Charles kind of let us in on that when he committed that he's been recruiting for FSU for quite some time. But I think it always helps. I mean, it's always a good domino. Is it the ultimate factor? No, but does it help? Yes. It's about the comfort feeling of, okay, somebody else is comfortable about this school like FSU that the way I am. and it resonates. So yes, it's definitely a domino effect.
Z-Chan, you are the man. Thank you so much for your consistent support of what we do. Cannot wait to see you at the end of this month. Well, sorry, next month. Tomorrow's August. Don Walton asks, what is FSU's biggest weakness going into the LSU game? Michael, I always have fun when we can kind of cross and talk about the other person's concentration. You love Florida State in terms of watching them very closely.
Right.
So tell me, what do you think the biggest weakness is? And then I'll chime in.
My two concerns would be depth at a few positions, and that's linebacker and defensive end. That's the places. Who's going to be the other guy to help Patrick Payton now? And we know Jared's going to do his thing. He's going to kill it. We know Patrick Payton's obviously going to be even better than and more explosive than what he was. Gilbert Edmond, maybe a guy, but I think the depth for that position is certainly what I'm going to look over if there was a weakness. And then two, the linebacker position, you have three really good ones, all played, all come back. You have DJ Lundy, you have Kalen DeLoach, and you have Tatum Bethune. All three of those guys are phenomenal. Are we going to see the young guy step up this year and take some reps away, or take some help these guys out so they can rest them more? That's kind of what I want to see, and those are the two weaknesses for me.
Yeah, I agree with you on the linebacker side of things in terms of depth. They both played hurt last year. If you're in that situation again and they're dinged and they've got to play through it, that is not ideal. I saw Sean post a comment up there that said something to the effect of, if the Darrell Jackson waiver does not come through and Fabo is injured. Listen, Sean, I'll address this part of it because I know there are a few comments about a boot and Fabian Lovett. There's a part of the video where they break the rock. You can see that in the background. Our ears are always to the ground. We're aware of that. We cannot comment on injuries for players. It's a part of the protocol that Mike Norvell has. But here's what I can tell you. He'll be asked about on Wednesday at the press conference. So we'll get some clarity to that point. We're not like ignoring it on purpose. There's a policy involved. So as it pertains to an off season where there's whispers and then there's you can get a screen grab of this one moment of this one frame of the rock being broken. I see it. I hear it. But if that's the case and the waiver doesn't come through, I mean, yeah, defensive tackle gets lighter, but Michael, I don't think it's as light as linebacker. They still got a lot of potential studs there. Dennis Briggs can play defensive tackle for you. He's a Swiss Army knife on that D-line. Braden Fisk is finally back and healthy. We can report that. Jared Verse said glowing things about Braden Fisk when they were in Charlotte last week. And then they've got young studs like Ayo Tafasi and Daniel Lyons that can help, even if it's just for Josh Farmer, of course, who would be one of your top four anyway. So they've got guys, but at linebacker, it drops off pretty quick and at defensive end too. Got any concerns about that offense there, Michael, or you think they're going to be okay there?
I think they're pretty set there. It's probably going to be, I would say it's probably the best group, I think, at running back that I've seen in a while as far as when you go the depth from to four. You don't usually have this many. We know Trey Benson's good. I'm excited to see a Keziah Holmes. I am really excited to see him. I know Rodney Hill is going to tear it up because that's a guy that a lot of schools were hoping that he would jump in the portal because they are extremely high on him. And so I think this room is ridiculous at running back. Receivers, we've covered that already. Seems like Destin Hill's really going to be even readier than we thought. If that's even a word, but more ready than we thought. And then you add guys like Keon Coleman and the guys they already have with Johnny Wilson. I think that thing's ridiculous. And then offensive line, they do what they think. But no, that's the one position I'm definitely not concerned about is the offense.
And then for me, last thing I'll say about that, because that game is not that far away now, folks. It's freaking crazy. It's right around the corner. This is like really happening. This summer took forever, and now we're getting to see camp. I feel better about special teams now that Destin Hill's here. I can't wait to see what he looks like as a punt returner and a kick returner with that speed. But then also special teams, the not so good. We need to know that a 40-yard field goal is going to be good. I think Mike Norvell needs to know that for game planning purposes. He's got to know that so he doesn't have to make crazy fourth down decisions as Florida State is approaching enemy territory, all that kind of stuff. Michael, I see the thumbs up from you. You would agree with that they've got to they got to solve that issue.
And make sure your punter doesn't take off running down the field on a fake punt and then try to kick the ball. You probably don't want to do that in the game. I know I agree with you. Special teams, that's kind of the question. You have Ryan, and there's some competition there. But I feel good about Alex. I feel good about their coverage and the way they cover kicks and cover punts. But that field goal game is going to be something I think people pay a lot of attention to.
Now, here we go. A couple more questions here as we round out the Monday Smash presented by State Farm agent Russ Voorhis. Wesley Dobbs, that's West in the Villages. He asks a numbers question for you, Michael. We always remember the flips, but how likely are they? What percentage of commits stick in your opinion? And Michael, I'll limit it because if you start when they're sophomores or juniors, it's probably more frequent. But let's just say that final year of their recruitment, what percentage do you think of commits just stay true to their word the first time and they're going to stay?
Well, I think it depends on the school because the percentages are vary. I think with FSU, it's probably with this staff, it's usually around 85, 90%. Usually they lose a couple. I think there's one more that probably won't be in this class, and that's Lawayne McCoy, 4-star receiver from Miami. That's a guy that, and I think if FSU were to get Jeremiah Smith, we hadn't talked about it a lot. He visited over the weekend, 2 days. He's a guy that I feel like there's a genuine shot with. And so if you get him and you replace him with Jeremiah Smith, I think people would take that. But I just think he wants to be closer to home. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. But I think overall the percentage is pretty high with this. I would say out of this staff, it's higher than anyone I can remember in the last 5 years. It's very high because of the retention level is pretty high as far as what they keep. And I think a lot of that's kind of the stuff, Tom, you jumped on as kids know exactly what you're coming into. It's like you talked about competition, either compete or go away. And I think all the kids know what they're coming into. It's not like fairy tales and rainbows and sunshine. It's like, hey, this is what it's going to be. And they let a lot of these recruits talk to players. So I think it's very genuine to know what you're going into. So that's why I don't think there's a lot of, you don't see a lot of decommitments too much for FSU's class. I think TJ Abrams was one, and then I think Lawayne McCoy probably be another. But outside of that, I think most of them stick because they know exactly what they're getting into.
It's been 24 hours since Mike Norvell brought in a quality recruit. While it may be premature to talk about firing him, it's obviously a matter of concern, says Mark. Thank you, Mark, for the levity. We always appreciate that on the Monday Smash. I got a question here. Hang on, Director Ben. I got this one too. JoJo Trader. Does FSU have a chance of flipping him from UM? What do you think?
They do. That's a guy that I think will officially visit FSU. That's a guy that I think they're still active with. He's a big fan of Ron Dugan's, and why wouldn't you be when you look at what he's done with that room, and changing it. But I think that's one that we can address later down the line. But when he officially visits or he takes official visits to other places, but that's one, I think to keep an eye on because I'm not expecting. If there's Miami fans, you might want to close your ears. I'm not expecting a great year for Miami. I don't think that's really a secret. But I think if they struggle, I think FSU can certainly capitalize on it, and I think that would affect JoJo as far as what they do on the field.
Tom Kirkpatrick, one of the frequent Facebookers that we have on the Warchant TV network. Most of you are YouTubers, but Tom has stayed steady with Facebook. He says, late to the show, what's the word on flipping a defensive end from Miami? I don't know who specifically you're speaking of, Tom, but maybe Michael, you pick up what he's putting down.
That's a new one to me. I guess we could research it real quick. Let's see if I can pull up some guys. But
while you're doing that, let me take a question from Island Chief. This is from last year, the Miami football game. I predicted on the Warchant TV networks that we would drop a 40 burger on Miami. That did come to fruition. And Michael, I'll get your opinion on here in just a moment. Island Chief says 40 burger ain't nothing. How many 50 burgers does Florida State serve this year? All right, Island Chief, I will answer your question with a question. Do you like the over or the under on 4.5 50 burgers this season? Because I think it's going to be around 4 or 5. This offense is just too gifted. And even when they put the backups in, Michael, now that they have such depth on the offensive line, that's going to pave the way for a guy like a Rodney Hill or, Keziah Holmes, or on the edge, you got a Vandrevius Jacobs or a Hakeem Williams. I mean, they're so loaded everywhere. Kyle Morlock might be with the second team a little bit this year. So if you're Tate, you've got a good offensive line and you've got those weapons, you're still going to keep scoring even after, it's quote unquote garbage time and the ones are out. How many times do you think Florida State is going to cross that 50-point plateau, Michael? What do you think?
I'd say around 4.
Yeah.
I think 4 would be my pick. I do have an answer to that question. I kind of figured out what he was doing. Sometimes you got to be like, if you ever seen that movie National Treasure, and one clue leads to another clue, and you got to figure out the clues. That's kind of what we're doing here. First, he's not a defensive end. He's a defensive tackle. It's Tartavius Jones that we mentioned earlier. That's a guy that committed to Miami. Visited FSU this past week. That's a guy that I think it's going to be FSU or Miami. It's going to be a close battle. 50-50 in my opinion, because of he's going to wait and see what the season and what goes on with the season, and I think that's one that they could certainly get in there, and they want him. So this is a case where FSU doesn't want him. FSU wants him. Miami got him on their campus more frequently and got it done early in the summer, but I think the struggles on the field that could certainly lead to something to watch out for.
All right, Michael. So we're wrapping it up here on the Monday Smash presented by State Farm agent and longtime Nole, Russ Forjas. What's coming up this week? Isn't there something coming up on Saturday? Some kid that we might want committing? And what else can folks expect either on Warchant TV, but definitely on warchant.com as well?
Yeah, so we're going to obviously we're going to be following the KJ Bolden. I know everyone's going to be asking me this, like, Michael, are you going? Because when I go, people get all excited. I don't know that yet, guys. I definitely would be willing to go. We're still discussing that as a staff to figure it out. So I will certainly have that. And then once I'm done with that, I'm probably going to do like I'm going to trim it down to a 5 to watch instead of 10 to watch because of the numbers are so low. So I'll probably do a new, 5 to watch to kind of talk about that. And then if you guys are nice, I might do a 2025 hot board again and do a full hot board. So we'll have that. That'll be the full month where you'll get hot boards. Or we're going to do every position. Me and Matt Lassier break it down, and we'll maybe even do a video with it. We'll see. But that's kind of what we have going on. Outside of that, man, my plans are pretty much to get ready for fantasy football, and we have a Warchant league. A lot of people have signed up for it, so I'm kind of getting that ready, and then kind of just get ready for the season, man, because I really don't have a lot to do after that. It's mainly just decisions and kind of get ready for the season and kind of plan, see who's going to go. I will say this: this weekend I'm probably going to be working on the very popular Friday Night Rewind that I do. If people aren't familiar with that, that's kind of I keep track of the stats of the kids all year. I'm going to work on that. That's going to be time consuming. So that's something that I plan on working on after, we figure out the KJ Bolden situation.
I usually see you on the Wednesday or the day of the coaches luncheon. Am I going to see you there? Out there?
Probably.
Right, nice.
I don't have any. I don't know any reason why I wouldn't be there. So I will more than likely be there. I love being around the coaches. It's such a fun event to just interact with these guys and talk to them, and certainly we interview them and go from there. But yeah, I will definitely be there. Island Chief, the fantasy league is basically it's a Warchant league on Yahoo that we do. That we've done it for probably 6 years. I know some people. I might create a new league, like just to give you an info on this, Tom. We have 11 Warchant leagues, so that's the amount of people that we have. So it's a great league. It's free. It's fun. People get to kick my butt in fantasy for free. It's fun and it's enjoyable. Kind of get to interact with some members. It's just a way for I can give back to you guys of just interacting with you and doing something that's kind of fun that people enjoy.
Man, well, we're going to make it a dozen if Island Chief and others sign up. So stick with Michael about that. Troy Nole, we hope you're doing well. Before we go, let me set it up one more time, what we have coming up this week on Warchant TV. Put that graphic on the screen. Thank you, Ben. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock, Seminole Headlines live here on Warchant TV. Hit the subscribe button, and if you hit the bell next to it, your phone will be alerted every time we go live. Sometimes these things aren't scheduled, folks. If there's some kind of big news, we go live. We don't have that much lead time to announce it, so it's always a good idea to hit that bell. Subscribe, it's free. Our content will be on your homepage. Wednesday is a full day. So we've got the live show at 1 o'clock, but we are at the coaches' luncheon. Interviews with every single coach on Florida State's football staff will be coming to the channel on Warchant TV. At 7 o'clock that night, we've got an Ask Warchant Anything. This is for members of the website only. There will be a link for you to follow You'll be able to ask us anything you want. You got us for an hour, and we look forward to doing that more as a thank you to Warchant.com members. On Thursday, 1 to 3 p.m. JCS, at 6:30 p.m., we're going to be live reacting to the first practice. I'm going to go to practice with everybody. I'm going to book it before they do interviews, come back, talk with you. We'll have 2 guests on, probably a combination of Jeff, Corey, and Ira, to come on for 10 to 15 minutes to talk about their observations from day 1 of 2023 fall camp. Friday, a 1 to 3 p.m. show for the Jeff Cameron Show. But again, we'll close with this. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m., Warchant TV. It's not listed there on the screen. Peter Collins, chairman of the FSU Board of Trustees, comes on to talk with you in an interactive chat. Ira Schofel, and I'll be directing some traffic back and forth as one of the many hosts there. But the question will be asked. We booked this interview before things got crazy. He wants to keep it going, and he wants to hear from you and interact with you. So a direct path to the chairman of the Board of Trustees at one of the most important times in Florida State's athletic department history. Should be an interesting night. So between all of that, what we got coming on warchant.com, Michael's great content, the recruiting momentum for Florida State, drop by, folks. Give us a shot at warchant.com. You won't be sorry. So for Michael, I want to thank Director Ben behind the scenes. I want to thank everybody who contributed to the program, not the least of which is my man Z-Chan. I know you're a Braves fan. That's okay, brother. Not everybody's perfect. And everybody else who contributed, like Robert D., Tommy Jenkins, Island Chief, Eric Angel, Robert D. again. All of you, if I missed you, I apologize. For Michael, I'm Tom. This has been a Monday Smash. We will talk to you on Warchant TV next time.